Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how long it takes for SEO to work. Neil, you're starting.
I think if you're a brand new website, it takes 6 months to a year. If you're an established website, it takes at least 6 months to get ranking. Now I'm going to tell you a story. So neilpatel.com, I had the site up for over a year and a half before I did anything with it. People naturally linked to me when I was doing interviews and stuff. So I already had decent authority after like a year and a half or 2 years or whatever the time frame was when I started the blog. And then I started the blog, started getting more backlinks, announced that I was doing a blog, had hundreds and hundreds of natural backlinks. Some of them were really high domain authority sites. Things were good, right? I had links from like Entrepreneur, Inc., Forbes, etc. And what ended up happening was I created this guide on online marketing. I popped it up and it was in November, early November, like I think the first week of November, in which the guide was put up. It wasn't until July that the guide started ranking on page 2 and high up on page 1 because there was a lot of fluctuations, right? Depending on the region, if it's in the US, what city, etc. Where would you see the results? Because it's a keyword that also has a lot of localized results. And I was a national type of ranking. It took that long, right? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That's 9 months. It took 9 months to start seeing decent rankings. Now, when I looked at the Google Analytics, every month after January, it started going up slowly. Like think of a percentage. And when I was looking at the percentage, the search traffic, forget the rankings, it was going up by like 10 to 20% each month. And then it started climbing more and more with the bigger percentage. Eventually, as July hit, the growth started slowing down because you started getting towards the top of the rankings. But it took 9 months to start seeing substantial results. Because as you guys know, even if your rankings climb, if you're on page 2 or page 3, even for a popular keyword, you're not going to get much traffic. For that reason, you need to be high up on page 1, whether it's a long tail term or a head term. It takes good placement to see traffic, and it takes a long time. SEO is worth it if you just look or expect to see results, even if you have an old website, of quicker than 6 months, you're not going to do well.
So I'll share another anecdote. This is actually fairly recent. So there's a site that I have that is in a outdated. You can say it's a niche that needs updating, and basically we were able to get the traffic up to 25K a month, which is good. It did take about a year or so to get there. But what we did afterwards was we decided to buy older aged domains that had a decent domain authority, not super high, let's say around 44 or so, but they did have a good amount of links coming back to them. But they're aged, good domain authority. What we did is we purchased the website and then we redirected it, and that's when we started to see a spike in traffic. So we might have gotten lucky here. We found a way to basically expedite it, and that site now is getting about 350,000 visits a month. Your mileage may vary, but that's something you might want to look into. But I will say, if we're looking at an example similar to what Neil was saying, I remember there's a company I was at before, and the site had been around for about, let's just say, about 6 years or so. Okay, the site was around for 6 years or so. It's aged well, but they weren't doing a lot of SEO to it, right? The structure was not optimized. They weren't doing any link building. They weren't creating a lot of content. Once we started to turn those engines on, we started to make adjustments such as adding simple stuff, right? Anchor text in the footer. We started adding links there, and then we started to do other stuff like transcribing our content. We started internal linking. We started creating more content. We started building links. We started to see results in the next 6 months or so, and our traffic went from about 100,000 to 1 million visits a month. So it does take time. You have to, age a domain a little bit, and then you have to have good domain authority too. It's not going to happen overnight. And then the single grain blog is another good example where we're only getting about 6,000 to 7,000 visits a month. We weren't ranking for anything, but the site has been aged pretty well. We started to do a good amount of content and then link building as well. And then nowadays we're hovering at around 43,000 to at a high point we're about 50,000 visits a month.
Sure, and there's a few tricks to actually speed up the result. One of the things that Eric mentioned was 301 redirecting an old domain to a new domain, right? Or like a domain that was in your space to the new domain. That does help. Another trick that I found that helps boost the ranking times from taking, let's say, 6 months to a year to seeing results within a few months, like 2 or 3 at the latest, is if you have high brand queries. So think of your domain name, right? Let's say it's bmw.com. And assume you're a brand new company and you're in cars. If everyone starts typing in BMW because they love what you've created, and it shows Google that, wow, this company has a huge brand, they're a big player, everyone loves what they're doing. Another example of this is Airbnb. When they first started out, I was doing their SEO. They had a ton of queries for the keyword Airbnb because everyone loved what they were doing, right? Make money from your home by renting out your spare rooms or whatever it may be. So extra ways to make income. Airbnb's brand started spiking, and because of that spike, they started ranking higher for all the other keywords in their space. But there's a real key is if you don't have large brand queries, you're not going to get a huge spike. And if those brand queries don't continue, you'll notice a spike in your rankings for a short run, but then your rankings will start going back down. So you need to maintain it as well. And that's really hard to manipulate unless you're doing things like TV ads, you're creating a lot of buzz, or you did something crazy on TV, or you created some like crazy press story that got out there and everyone starts Googling you, right? Whatever it may be, but you need that consistent brand queries. And then the third way that I found that the results can happen quicker or sooner than later is if your on-page SEO is set up right. If you're cross-linking, all your pages are indexable, it's topical. For example, if your site's on marketing and you only have marketing content, you're going to rank faster than someone who has marketing, entrepreneurship, beds, like food, nutrition, muscle building content all on one website. I know that's a little really random topics, but that's the point I'm trying to make. They rank topical sites that are only on one niche, very specific, much higher, quicker. Sure, the Wikipedia of the world can rank for anything, but they have a lot of domain authority. You don't have that kind of domain authority and you don't have that luxury. For that reason, if you stick with topical content, for example, you have a marketing blog, writing on all forms of marketing doesn't mean you're going to rank faster. If your marketing blog only covered SEO and you only talked about SEO content, you're going to rank way faster for all the SEO terms out there.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to, in some cases, let's say you don't want to get the SEO basics or you don't feel like you have a good understanding of SEO and you don't want to do it on your own. There's a lot of SEO consultants out there that can help you set the technical foundation up correctly. So I'll give you an example. There's one public company that we're working with right now. Their SEO is completely broken. The fundamentals are completely broken. And a lot of times, let's say you get a news website done for you and, developers are like, yeah, we're going to build an SEO there. That's not really how it works because most of the time developers aren't going to take SEO into account. And there's going to be a lot of fundamentals missing. So oftentimes, you don't be afraid to turn to an SEO consultant that can help you set the technical foundation up or at least fix what's wrong. Because if you're going to have the wrong foundation set up, you don't have the right foundation set up, well, think of it as technical debt, right? If you keep accruing more tech debt, well then the bigger you get, the more it's going to compound, right? And you don't want that to happen. So anyway, it does take time, it does take effort, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You've heard the anecdotes from Neil, you've heard it from me as well. It does work. Just be patient with it. So that's it for today's episode of Marketing School. We'll see you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.